Hello everyone and welcome to a reading wrap-up specifically for, I'm only doing one readathon in this particular video, and that is the Autumn Equinox Aurelium, created and hosted by G over at Book Roast. She has always done a great job with these. So yeah, I have completed my Master of the Elements in the month of September. I did complete that, and I wanted to go into a little bit more specifics as far as star ratings and all of that and average. So I was going for Master of the Elements. I did write down all the other careers, and I will do wrap-up videos specific for other careers before the next equinox happens. I do want to say a quick thank you to everyone. I posted in my community page that there are going to be a couple of days, and it might only work out to be just 2 days. I like to keep my mind busy on other stuff, but my grandma this is my dad's parents, because my mom's parents are both gone now, but my dad's parents moved from New Mexico to Vernal, Utah to live with one of their sons, so my uncle. And my grandma fell and broke her hip, and I did post on the community page that we were told that she only had 1 to 3 days left to live. So I took a very sudden trip to Vernal, which is only like about 3 to 3.5 hours away from where I live. So I went to Vernal, and I was able to see her. She was not able to eat any food. They had her on very little water from whatever she could take, because they had her on morphine, just because she was in so much pain. And so they're just making her comfortable. And 2.5 days later, she unfortunately passed. So I did get to see her before she passed, but unfortunately she has now left this life. So yeah, I didn't have that great of a relationship. Not that it was a bad relationship, I just didn't really have a relationship with her. I'm looking for a picture I can show you on my phone. I took a picture with my phone of a picture of her. So that was her. Her name was Shanna. Shanna Thomas. Because my dad had a big, and this is my dad that passed away obviously in February. He had a big falling out with his parents, so my grandma and grandpa. And so I went from about age 8 or 9 to early 20s before ever seeing them again. So that's over 10 years of not growing that connection with them. And then when I could go, I would only be able to see them for like a year for an hour or two. So I just didn't have that strong of a connection, but she is still my grandma, so I still loved her. And I do miss her, and I miss that connection that we could have had. So, yeah. So I thank you for everyone's patience, and thank you to all of the new subscribers for supporting my channel. I really appreciate you being here. This has been a rough year. 2024, excuse my language, but it's been a shit show. So I had my dad pass away in February. My mom and I lost our 2 pugs, and then a couple months later we lost my black cat Ophelia. So there's been a lot of death this year. I am ready for the next year, and hopefully it's not so depressing. So, I mean, the great thing about 2024 is that we now have Georgie, who is our new pug, and as you will see in occasional videos, Molly and Polly. Right now they're both napping. Molly is in a thing by my bookcase here. She is just sleeping. Let me see if I can show an image of her just real quick. She's just right there, sleeping on top of my cross-stitch books or patterns and kits. And Polly is on the recliner that's in the caddy corner. So, to me. Anyway, they're both asleep. Let's go ahead and get into this wrap-up. So, as I said, I was going for Master of the Elements. Now, I had to get a D in Elemental Studies, and so that was 3 classes. Level O was Gust of Longing. This is to read a book that has your favorite scent in the title, on the cover, or the author name, something like that. I went with on the cover. For this one, I'm going with Teacher of the Year by M.A. Wardell. This is a spicy male-male romance between these 2 men. This is a kindergarten teacher, and he is an engineer, I believe. So Marvin and Olin. I wanted to say Odell, and I knew that wasn't right. Olin. And then this is Olin's daughter. She makes some appearances in the book and is so very cute. there is reference to Jewish terminology as Marvin grew up Jewish. So he does say there are several words that would be Hebrew or used by those that are Jewish. This was just so very sweet. It very, very spicy. Do not get me wrong. It is very spicy. And I learned some new spicy words. But it is very sweet at the same time. I just wanted to reach through and find these two people and give them huge hugs, especially Marvin, because he struggled with anxiety. There is talk of alcoholism and being a recovering alcoholic. And so there's talk of Marvin and the trauma that he grew up with having a family member addicted to alcohol. And so there's anxiety as well. There is other great representation. As you can see, Olin is black. Marvin has a coworker who is like his best friend, who happens to be Korean, and she is expecting a little baby girl. So there is a trigger for a difficult situation with a pregnancy. I'm going to leave it at that. But, oh, this was great. I gave this one 4 stars, 301 pages. It is book number 1 in the Teachers in Love series or something like that. I did get the second book, so I look forward to getting to that at some point. There's like 4 that are going to be in this series, I believe. Does he have them? Yeah, he's got them listed in the back here. Yeah, 4. So the second book is Mistletoe and Michigas. So it's between a teacher and a janitor for that one. That one I do know. And then there's one that's supposedly out now, which is Napkins and Other Distractions. And then there's one that's supposed to come out in February that is called Husband of the Year. Oh, which comes back to Marvin and Olin. Okay, Marvin and Olin's series finale. It'll be good to be back with these characters. I'm excited for that. So yeah, very sweet. 301 pages, 4 stars. I highly recommend this book. It was just great. I loved it. Okay, the next one I had to do was Q, which is Influencing Growth. That was to read a book that is 100 pages longer than your last read, which I don't remember what my last read was, but when the video was made, my last read was about... So the last book from when I looked at these prompts or watched the video when it was released by G, the book that I had read was 319 pages. So I needed something that was at least 100 pages more, give or take. So for this one, I went with A Story of 7 Lives by Shirakawa Jin. This is the complete collection. I believe there's 3 novels in this, so it's just this one book. And this is a story about this cat that was in a loving home and ended up being a stray. You do find out why. And that's pretty much it. It is a manga, and it's translated from Japanese, so it is a manga. Trigger warning for death of a sibling, from the perspective of the cat, death of a human, and working through all of that grief, you do have animal abuse mentioned in this, or animal cruelty. So it was very difficult to read at times, and potential death of an animal too. You do have that in there. So it was very hard, but I ended up giving it one a 5-star just because of how hard-hitting it was. Just very sweet. We're following Nanao, who was the one that was in a home and is now an stray, and you're following Nanao's life. And then Nanao meets this other woman, and you find out that there is a special connection there. And I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to spoil anything. And this was 439 pages, so a little over the 100-page mark, but it still works for that. And then the third class for Elemental Studies for level D like dog was Sparkology. This is to read a book that has sparks on the cover. And I'm going with on the cover and in the title, at least I'm assuming it's on the cover due to the design and the title, which is A Kind of Spark by Elle McNicoll. This is a middle grade, and this was the book club selection for Autism Reads, which is a book club that I host. We read a book every month by an author that is confirmed to be autistic, and Elle McNicoll was the selection for this. So this is own voices because the main character in this, she is autistic. She is in school. She has this major fascination with sharks, and everyone's like, well, why not dolphins? Well, sharks are misunderstood creatures, and she correlates that with being autistic or neurodivergent and people not understanding. And so you have that not understanding and fearing something that you don't understand. So fearing someone and communicating and interacting with someone that's neurodivergent because you don't understand them. Same thing with sharks. We don't understand them, so we have this fear of them. Well, one day she gets this new interest because they talk about witches and this takes place in Scotland. And so these witches were just normal everyday women who were different in whatever way, and the townspeople feared them and either burned them, drowned them, whatever they did during the quote unquote witch trials. So innocent people were killed because they were suspected, because they were different. And so because they were different, they were suspected of being witches. And so the main character, I forgot her name. Her name is Addie, and sometimes her mom, she gets called Ads. She goes to this town in Scotland and wants to have a memorial erected to honor these women that were unjustly murdered and accused of being witches. And the town's like, nope, we're not doing it. But she keeps going and persisting. She learns that she can be persistent, learns that she can stand up for what's right, and has that courage and that confidence to do so. So she's learning and developing that, and learns that there are more people than not that will stand behind her and support her in something that is right to do in this case. And it was very sweet. And she even made the point, and I loved this, that if she lived back then, at this time, she would have been burned at the stake because she is different than everyone else, being autistic and other people are not. She would have been treated as an outcast and eventually possibly murdered because of that, and given that time frame. So love that correlation. Was 176 pages. If you want to join us in the Autism Reads, the link to the Discord is always in the description box, so you're more than welcome to join us on that. So yeah, A Kind of Spark by Elle McNicoll. Okay, the next class I had to do, or the next rung, whatever, I had to get an O in shape-shifting, so I only needed one class for this one, and that was Inanimate Objects, Jewelry. So this is to read a book with jewelry on the cover or in the title. The rest of the books in this video will be ebooks, so move over just a little bit. I went with Double Love by Francine Pascal. Now, this was not necessarily written by Francine Pascal. This actually says it was created by Francine Pascal, but underneath, written by Kate William or something like that, which is actually a fictional person. This series, the Sweet Valley High series, this is book number 1 in the series, I believe, was written by ghostwriters. So we don't know who actually wrote Double Love. But regardless, this was published in, I believe it was 1983, early 80s. I remember the Sweet Valley craze in the 90s, as far as them coming out with shows for Sweet Valley High and stuff. I didn't watch it. I mean, I've seen like an episode or here or there. I was more into Home Improvement at that time, so Sweet Valley, I just didn't really watch. So yes, this one is book number 1 in the Sweet Valley High series. I gave this one 4 stars. It is a product of its time, I will say. There are mentions to weight, so there is some fat phobia type comments that were very much more used and common to be said back in the, definitely in the early 80s. And stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much all I can say. Definite. If you're going to read this series, just go in knowing it is dated, it is a product of its time, and just go in for eye rolls, you know, whatever, kicks and giggles going on. I can't believe that people actually talked like this or whatever it is. But yeah, so this one we're following the Wakefield sisters, identical twins, Elizabeth and Jessica. Elizabeth is more studious, the more studious type. Jessica is more the partier. In my opinion, Jessica is extremely narcissistic and is a liar and will do anything to get and have her own way, even if it means making other people, including her sister, look bad. And that annoyed me to no end. Are there people in the world like that? Yeah, there are narcissistic people in the world that will bend things to their own will, and it doesn't matter who they hurt. So that was definitely realistic. And to be able to get what they want. So just be cautious. Again, product of its time, published in, I think, again, 83. That's really all I can say on that one. As it is only 112 pages, there's really not much to say. Jessica wanted to join this, it's like this Phi Beta sorority type thing in high school. and just Elizabeth, she's kind of forced Elizabeth into it. Jessica wants to have a particular boyfriend and is willing to start rumors to make it so that the boy that she's interested in, who is actually interested in Elizabeth, will turn his eye more towards Jessica. And she even does lie about being sexually assaulted. So just be aware of that. You do have a woman lying about sexual assault. Okay. So that's double love. Okay, the next one, I needed an O in animal studies, and this was, the class for the O was Phoenix Keeping. This is to read a book with a phoenix on the cover or in the title, and I went with in the title on this one. I did The Embers of Phoenix, written by A.J. Blackburn. This was 223 pages. I gave this one 4 stars. Spicy. This one is a werewolf shifter, why choose romance. I think it's going to convert into, now I heard that if it's going to be a reverse harem, it has to be 3 or more partners of the opposite sex, and I think it will. It gave hints that that's where it's heading, but as of right now, it's just a why choose. Very spicy. Ember is the daughter. She does have a twin sister. 2 books of twins. She has a twin sister. They are both the daughters of the alpha of their pack. And her sister has a mate. In this one, Ember thinks she's not destined to have a mate. She's not worried about it. She just goes and has sex with these random men in the pack and calls it good, type of a thing. Well, one day something happens, and so she's out running in her wolf form, and then she realizes she's being followed by a wolf. And so she's not wanting to lead this strange wolf back to her pack because this is one that was not in her pack. Well, then there are these werewolf hunters, and they see her and start shooting at her, trying to kill her because they do not like werewolves. And so she's on the run from these werewolf hunters as well. She does end up getting injured, and this werewolf that was chasing her helps her recovery. And then there's some spicy times between the two. And he's thinking that she is his mate, but they're missing someone. And she's not wanting to believe that she is having a mate, and out there that there actually is a mate for her, let alone the possibility of there being more than one. But yeah, so it just follows with that. And she does end up imprisoned at one point, and her pack is trying to find her. You do learn that there is someone that betrays someone's trust. I'm going to leave it at that. And oh man, that connection between the mates in this, yeah, very strong, very spicy. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. I needed an O in astronomy, so the class was Constellation for the Cradle. This is to read a book that was released in your birth month. For this one, the book I read was released December 5th of 2023. My birthday is in December. And I read Sleigh Bells and Slaughter by Alina Jacobs. I gave this one 4 stars. It was 214 pages. When I first saw this cover, I thought cozy mystery. Because of the cover and because of the title. Just kind of pun in the title, I immediately think cozy mystery. That is not the case. This is a mystery that does take place over Christmas. The main character of this is Gothic. She's more into Halloween and the spooky stuff. And in this small town that she's at, there is this holiday festival or carnival, so this Christmas type carnival. And she has spookified it, and the main person that's running this festival doesn't want her, because it's not fully Christmasified, doesn't want it where everyone can see it, so they've kind of shunted her back into a back, out of the way corner, where you actually have to go looking for her booth. So she has spookified it, her Christmas thing. It is very spookified. She makes these cookies. She calls them spider cookies just because they're cookies and they have a little image of a spider on them. And people love these cookies. There is a fire that breaks out. As you can see from the cover, there is a fire in one of these stalls and someone dies. And people know that this person that died had a beef with this main character that we are following. This is told in dual POV. We also have the POV of a fireman in this, and he has a thing for this gothic chick, and he can't understand how she is not into Christmas more, and he wants to deck her halls, so to speak. You do get a spicy. It does get spicy. You do get spicy times. She has a black cat named Smokey. Was that his name? I can't remember. It's either the cat named Smokey or the firehouse dog named Smokey. One of them's named Smokey, but there's a black cat and a Dalmatian in this. So, yeah, there are secrets revealed. You get the vibe that now this character has a twin. Her twin has something to tell, and then everything kind of hits the fan, and that secret gets revealed later on. And it just goes from there. So Alina, or not Alina, because that's not the name of the character, but the main character of this, Alina was the author. The main female character thinks that the police and the fire department are not doing a good enough job investigating, so she teams up with this fireman, not particularly by choice, as he kind of forces her hand into it, but they do. She does want to investigate, he does too, and so they're kind of he forces them to work together, and forces them in a way. And so they investigate who actually set this fire to kill this person, and was she the actual intended target, or is she an additional intended target, which you do find out. So that is Sleigh Bells and Slaughter. It was comedic at times. I did giggle quite a bit at times, but yeah, it was a fun read. I was not expecting the spice. I was thinking it was like a cozy mystery. It sounded like a cozy mystery when I skimmed the synopsis, but it is not a cozy mystery. It's just a mystery with some spice. Okay, next up I needed an O or a Q in restoration, so I had to do 2 classes for this one. So for the O level, I did Night Dew, which is night sky on the cover, and for this one I did Bewitching the Vampire. This one was 63 pages. I gave this one a 4-star, and this, we are following, I can't remember what she is. Is she a werewolf? No. This is a paranormal romance, and I can't remember what the main female character is in this. Oh, she's a witch. That's right, Bewitching the Vampire. She's a witch, and the male love interest is a vampire. And basically, this adult woman that she lives with has this thing against vampires due to a dream or a vision of seeing this loved one surrounded by vampires. And so this main character is told to avoid vampires, but she hits it right off with this vampire. Turns out he's very big in the community, in the vampire community. And this takes place at, a lot of it takes place around and in this pub or this bar that paranormal people go to, whether it's you're a mummy, a werewolf, a witch, or a vampire, whatever you are. It's a supernatural place that people can go let loose and not have to worry about hiding themselves. And then there are some people on the outside who are just plain humans who hate everything that has to do with paranormal and want to kill all paranormal creatures. So, 63 pages, and that's all I'm going to say before I enter into spoiler territory on that one. I do recommend. It was fun. Oh, and Bewitching the Vampire was written by Carrie Pulkinen. So, and then the last class that I had to take for this whole readathon, specifically for restoration, was the Q level, which was Dangerous Plants. And this is to read a book that has a poisonous plant on the cover or in the title. I went with Horror Hotel by Victoria Fulton and Faith McClaren. I want my own physical copy of this. I will be getting that at some point. I gave this one 4 stars. It was 237 pages. Young adult horror. If you have heard about the Cecil Hotel, that's pretty much this book, okay? I mean, there are some things that have been changed. My understanding is not based on that, maybe inspired, I don't know. But it definitely gave Cecil Hotel type horror vibes. Never been to the Cecil Hotel, don't ever plan on being there, but there is that. And for this one, the main character has this ability that she can actually see and hear, so she can communicate with ghosts. And either help them pass on or figure out what they're trying to do and say and anything like that. As you can see from the cover, hopefully, there are a type of palm trees. Now, there are various types of palm trees. I'm just going with palm tree in general, but palm trees can actually be poisonous. So, and it's probably going to depend more on the species, but I don't know all of the species, so I'm just going with, again, palm trees in general. This was fun, and this is book number 1, and I think it's a duology. There is another book that's out, and I will be getting my hands on that other book at some point, because I did like this. I had a great time. I couldn't figure it out as far as who was doing what in this. And you do learn about ghosts that do have good intentions and want to help people versus ghosts that do want to cause harm. I do believe in that actually as well, that there are ghosts that are good that just want to pop in and say hi, like as the deceased family member, maybe. And then there are those that are more dark and would like to cause harm. And hence part of the reason why I want nothing to do with the Ouija board, as that opens the gateway, in my opinion. So yeah, I had a great time with this one. It was just a fun horror young adult read, and I just had a great time. So that means I completed my Master of the Elements, and the next time, as long as Master of the Elements is still available, I will keep doing Master of the Elements. I remember growing up, and when I would play with my best friend, he and I, when we did games, imaginary games where we had magical abilities based off of X-Men, I always wanted to be someone that could control the elements, like Storm from the X-Men. So I love this career path. So out of all of these books, that's 8 books read for this career path. And this is an Order of the Crescent. That's the house that I am in, is Order of the Crescent. That's 8 books read for this, and this is an Order of the Crescent exclusive one. So this is, if you're Order of the Crescent, you can do this one type of a situation. So out of 8 books, 6 of them got 4 stars and 2 got 5 stars. This September was a good reading month. That's 34 stars issued. Divided by the 8 books, that is a 4.25 average. Really great reading month. As far as the page counts goes, that's 1,765 pages read for my Master of the Elements class. Divided by the 8 books, it works out to be about 220.63 pages per book. So that is it. Let me know, were you successful with your career path in the month of September? Or are you going to continue on and just complete it when you can? And what career path are you choosing for the Magical Aurelium Readathon? G has done and continues to do a great job with this. I am impressed, have always been impressed with the artwork and the story and everything. And I just can't thank G enough for creating such a beautiful magical world. So let me know how you did with this readathon, if you even did this readathon. Talk to me in the comment section below. And until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book. And I will talk to you later.